Welcome back to the TrueCast, everyone. It's me, Dr. True. I'm not feeling my best. I have a bit of a flu. And, there's a chance other people here listening to this podcast might also have a flu, or cold, or any kind of sickness. But it's okay, because today I bring you the perfect cure for anything. The Slender Man story. I know, you wouldn't think it cures stuff, but it will cure everything. Now, the Slender Man, it's one of the big early creepypastas, okay? It's one of those that started the whole phenomena. It was huge back in the day, together with Jeff the Killer, Ben Drowned, that was pretty big as well. Lavender Town Syndrome, which I should bring one of these days. And what else? I think The Rake was popular, but not as much. In any case, yeah, I brought you Jeff the Killer before. And the Slender Man sort of appeared on the internet pretty close to that date. Because the Slender Man is from 2009, I believe. And Jeff the Killer was, I think, from 2008. I already kind of forgot. Like, we only did the episodes only like 2 weeks ago. 2 and 1 weeks ago. But yeah, the Slender Man is about in the same era. Now, the infamous Jeff the Killer creepypasta that came in 2011. So, I think it will kind of feel like Slender Man got popular before Jeff the Killer, at least to me. But then it might also be regional, impressions. Because I, grew up in Italy. And in Italy, Slender Man was pretty big. Jeff the Killer, not so much. I gave credit to the games. There were a few Slender Man games. I don't know the exact titles. I think maybe the first one was actually just called Slender Man, and lots of YouTubers will bring it, and that made it very popular in Italy. Jeff the Killer didn't really have games, so that's probably why it wasn't as popular. Anyway, I already talked long enough. Let's get going. I'm taking this story. It's literally called the Slender Man. It's the original, as far as I can find. And it's from the Creepypasta wiki. That's where I'm getting it from, but you'll find it on other places on the internet. It's a creepypasta. They get around, And it's in historical archive and suggested reading. And I will say I skimmed through it. I didn't exactly read it. I just had a quick look. And it seems that like it's formatted more as a research or report on the Slender Man and his appearances, and not an actual, story like the Jeff the Killer one. But I do think you'll find this interesting as well. It is, at the very least, if you somehow never heard of it, a good way to, catch up on something you never saw on the internet. The Slender Man. The Slender Man is an alleged paranormal figure purported to have been in existence for centuries, covering a large geographic area. Believers in the Slender Man connect his appearances with many other legends around the world, including Fear Dub, the Dark Man in Scotland, the Dutch Takenman, or Branchman, and the German legend of Der Grossmann, the Tall Man. Appearance. The Slender Man is a being, male in appearance, with extremely long, slender arms and legs. He also appears to have 4 to 8 long, black tentacles that protrude from his back. Different photographs and enthusiasts disagree on this fact, so it's theorized that he can contract these tentacles at will. And and pretty much in all the pictures you see online, you see the Slender Man with the tentacles. I honestly find it more sort of scary and creepy without the tentacles. Maybe only the 4 tentacles in the back, but some pictures make it look too complicated. I will keep the Slender Man in its simplicity when portraying it, but that's just my idea, Keeping going, let's keep going. He is described as wearing a black suit, strikingly similar to the visage of the notorious Man in Black, which is basically CIA agents, I'm assuming. It's, the American Men in Black. As the name suggests, he appears very thin. He is able to stretch his limbs and torso to inhuman lengths in order to induce fear and ensnare his prey. Once his arms are outstretched, his victims are put into something of a hypnotized state, where they are utterly helpless to stop themselves from walking towards him. So basically kinda Pied Pipers you, he mind controls you to follow him, basically. He is able to create tendrils from his fingers and back that he uses to walk on, in a similar fashion to Dr. Octopus. From Spider-Man, I'm assuming. His superhuman stretching ability can also be seen as resembling Mr. Fantastic. I guess? Whether he absorbs, kills, or merely takes his victims to an undisclosed location or dimension is unknown, as there are never any bodies or evidence left behind in its wake to deduce definite conclusion from. His face is pale and slightly ghostly. It almost appears to have been wrapped in a type of gauze or cloth. His facial features are an object of debate. Many people believe that they look different to each person, if they are even seen at all. He is sometimes portrayed as wearing a hat, which can be a bowler, fedora, or even a top hat. He may also be seen wearing a long, flowing necktie or scarf, which is either red or grey. Which I will say the necktie. I think by necktie means like one businessman wear. That is very common when representing the Slenderman. Scarf I haven't really seen. And same goes for the hats. I'm pretty sure the Slenderman is, at least when it's drawn in art or whatever is represented, it's almost never represented wearing anything on his head. I think. Maybe I might have seen him with a fedora, but not a bowler hat. Or whatever it said the hat was. He often keeps his hands crossed politely behind his back or hanging loosely at his sides. His suit is black, sometimes pinstriped in artwork. A common misconception, thanks to the similar Jack Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas. I suppose. Sometimes pinstripe, but no, the Slenderman never really wears pinstriped suits. He has long coattails, which he lets flow proudly. He wears long dress shoes, which are always shined a perfect gleaming black. Now on to behavior. Much of the fascination with Slenderman is rooted in the overall aura of mystery he is wrapped in. Despite the fact that it is rumored he kills children almost exclusively, it is difficult to say whether or not his only objective is slaughter. Oftentimes, it is reported that he can be found in sections of woods, which generally tend to be suburban. He also has been seen with large groups of children, as many photographs portray. It is commonly thought that he resides in woods and forests, and preys on children from within. He seems unconcerned with being exposed in the daylight or captured in photos. By the way, exactly because it says unconcerned with photos and stuff, but also because the Slenderman became very popular for the pictures. I will probably make a sort of slideshow with pictures in this episode, so you'll probably see quite a few pictures, going from one picture to another every few minutes or so. So, I guess this is for the audio, for the viewers of the podcast. But as usual, for you listeners, I'm sorry if you're just listening passively, but don't worry, you're not missing too much. You can literally just Google Slenderman pictures, and you'll find them. You can literally Google Slenderman Creepypasta wiki. You'll find this article, and you'll find plenty of pictures. So if you are curious about seeing the pictures, you can easily find them online. It's very easy to find. This was a famous thing, And you can also, Google the original pictures from the post where it became more popular, and I'm sure you'll find them. Anyway, keep going. It is often thought as well that he enjoys stalking people who become overly paranoid about his existence, purposefully giving them glimpses of himself in order to further frighten them. For this reason, it seems like Slender Man very much enjoys psychologically torturing his victims. He appears to float or drift around rather than walk, which suggests the possibility of him being an ethereal entity rather than a creature or man. This will also explain why he is able to remain mobile in spite of his poorly proportioned body. Even though Slender Man was fabricated on the Something Awful forums, some people have claimed sightings. He is apparently seen mostly at night, peering into open windows and walking out in front of lone motorists on secluded roads. His main intentions appear to be kidnapping children, as when he is seen near them in photographs, they usually disappear shortly afterwards. The Slender Man has also inspired many stories, such as those of marble hornets. In the end, though, his purpose remains unknown. And marble hornets is a big thing. I don't know if I'll ever bring it on the channel. Maybe. It's just a long story. It's a long episode to do. It's basically an ARG. So it looks as similar as possible to reality. It's something that will try to convince you that it's real. And it will look like, I think the videos literally look like sort of found footage. Someone recording it with poor cameras and stuff. But it's a cool thing. It's a very cool project. It's just, at least for now, a bit out of reach for me, I think. Or especially today that I'm not feeling the best. Now let's go to historical references. We have Brazilian cave paintings. The earliest argued reference to the legend of the Slender Man is within the cave paintings found in the Serra da Capivara National Park in the northeast of Brazil, which are believed to date from as far back as 9000 BC. These paintings show a strangely elongated character leading a child by the hand, but make no reference to the extra appendages. I can have a look at the oh, I see. Okay. I will try to remember to put exactly this picture in this part of the podcast. But again, you can find them on the wiki, in the Creepypasta wiki article too. Then we have Egyptian hieroglyphs. Next known possible allusion to the Slender Man comes from around 3100 BC in Lower Egypt. References to the Thief of the Gods or the Thief of Cook became commonplace during the reign of Pharaoh Wasner. Hieroglyphic carvings representing the thief were found in the pharaoh's tomb, who was rumored to have had some kind of encounter with the entity. Carvings resemble a strange figure with multiple upper limbs, one that has never been found in any other hieroglyph language. So yeah, again, probably Slender Man, but who knows. Then we have German woodcuts. Renowned German woodcutter Hans Frankenberg created at least 2 woodcuts featuring a character he describes as Der Ritter, or the Knight, during the mid-16th century, which were eventually discovered in Hallsberg Castle in 1883. Okay, we'll probably put this picture. This is quite a fascinating picture, I will say, kinda cool. Looks more like a skeleton, to be honest. I wonder if there's a chance that maybe it is always Slender Man, it's just... if it's some sort of immortal being, right? And it's always the same being, then there is a chance that Slender Man follows technology, evolves with time. So it appears in one way in the past, in ancient times, appears a different way later on, in humanity. Now it appears the way we know him. But what if in the future Slender Man would appear as some sort of hologram or computer virus or something? because it does seem like Slender Man adapts with time. Maybe it will just appear, I guess, with different clothing or something, I don't know. But it is a fascinating idea. Whilst Freckenberg was well known for his realistic depiction of human anatomy, something that was unusual among woodcuts of the time, these pictures featured a skeletal, multi-limbed character. Historians are unsure of its exact symbolic nature. Some claim it is a personification of the religious wars that raged in Europe at the time, while others say it represents the little-known plagues that have been believed to be the reason for the mysterious abandoning of the Hallsberg castle, as well as the nearby village in 1543. Which I think it's fair, you know, it could be representing plagues and stuff. However, many insist that Freckenberg was attempting to represent Der Grossmann, the tall man. According to legend, he was a fairy who lived in the Black Forest. Bad children who crept into the woods at night would be relentlessly chased by Der Grossmann, who wouldn't leave them be until he either caught them or they were forced to tell their parents of their wrongdoing. There is a chilling account from an old journal of this era, dated to about 1702. I'm bad with reading years. My child, my Lars, he's gone. Taken from his bed. The only thing we found was a scrap of black clothing. It feels like cotton, but it is softer, thicker. Lars came into my bedroom yesterday, screaming at the top of his lungs that the angel is outside. I asked him what he was talking about, and he told me some nonsense fairy story about Der Grossmann. He said he went to the groves by our village and found one of my cows dead, hanging from a tree. I thought nothing of it at first, but now he is gone. We must find Lars, and my family must leave before we are killed. I'm sorry, my son. I should have listened. May God forgive me. And that was the account. Der Grossmann, everyone. Now we also have here some more mythologies. We have Romanian mythology. There is also a Romanian fairy tale which tells the legend of the tall man, featuring this description. The tall man stood in a clearing, dressed as a nobleman, all in black. Shadows lay over him, dark as cloudy midnight. He had many arms, all long and boneless like snakes, sharp as swords, writhing, or writhing, I don't know how you pronounce that, like worms on nails. Ugh. He did not speak, but made his intentions known. In the fairy tale, the tall man causes a mother to kill her husband and child before murdering her. Okay. English mythology. There is an English myth referring to the tree man, who is said to have a slim body with appendages that look like tree branches. He's only known to be seen in the woods, and was used as a story that parents told their children to thwart bad behavior. Quite a few disappearances of children are said to have been linked to the tree man. But that's not much, it's not saying that much. And that's the end of what I could find as the, original creepypasta. The thing you need to consider, I think, is that creepypastas are not necessarily stories, 100%. In general, they are copypastas, but creepy. So that means really anything that is copied and then pasted in various forums and stuff. Of course, we don't really use forums that much anymore, so this practice kind of died out with time. Now if we write copypastas or creepypastas, they usually kind of wrote on purpose, Creepypasta still represents a specific way of storytelling, so people could still write them on purpose without wanting to share them on like 10,000 different forums and just write them as a story itself. Copypastas that are not stories could be just copy and pasted in multiple places in general, could still happen, but just to say, it's less common now. And this, I think, is one of them that is not an actual story, and it's just like, oh, I've seen these pictures, I heard these things about Slender Man, this is what I know, and you start posting it, pasting it in many places. There are quite a few actual stories with Slender Man. As I mentioned before, as the Creepypasta mentioned before, there's Marble Hornets. I think the Marble Hornets part was added much later, because I do think Marble Hornets is much more modern, and it's a big project, it will be a big video to make, so definitely it's not something we'll talk about today. But like I said, there are multiple stories, there's still quite a few, and I did find one that is very short, which I'm gonna read now for you, and then I'm gonna give you my opinions on the Slender Man, what it could be, and these kind of things. So, without further ado, let's read Soot. It has been my experience that, in writing things down, they become easier to explain. Yet, I'm not quite sure how to explain this. Listen, I know that Slender Man is a lie, a totally made up 100% lie, but this story I tell you it's 100% true. If not, then I'll burn in hell, or worse. About 5 months ago, I found out about Slender Man on the internet. It seemed amusing and funny, but I'm a horror guy, and it didn't faze me. Like many things don't. But that night, I woke up to my cat wanting to be let out of the house. He was a stray I rescued when he was a kitten, and I never house trained him, so when I opened the door, he started to walk out. All of a sudden he froze, as if he was hit with some kind of freeze ray. As I walked into my porch to see if it was hurt, I glanced in the direction he was looking at. He was staring at this group of trees along a ditch a few yards away from my house. I saw nothing wrong at first, but then I noticed that something wasn't quite right. It might have been that there were more trees than usual, or that some limbs had been cut off in a certain area. Limbs as in branches, I'm hoping you mean. But I could vaguely make out a humanoid shape among the trees. And it was then was I sort of entranced. Like I didn't want to move, but a car passed and I gathered my senses. So apparently did my cat. Because he scurried off into the lawn, did his business, and went back into the house. I looked back again, and there was no more shape to the trees. That was the only event that happened for about 2 weeks. I had well forgotten about it until I had my first dream. In the dream, I was camping with some people I didn't know, and was having the time of my life. Then, when I went to go get some marshmallow sticks from some nearby trees, the entire mood changed. All of a sudden, the people had the same expression that my cat had that one night, and they were suddenly murmuring to me not to get any closer, like as if they had made the same mistake and forever regretted it. It was then that there was only one tree, at least I think it was a tree, since it had the same general shape. The strange thing is that all the branches had no leaves, and they were not moving as if the wind was blowing, but somehow slower. Then my alarm rang and I woke up. What happened next has still haunted me to this day. I had scratches all over my chest, like someone had thought my chest was covered with dead leaves and attacked me with a rake. When I looked at them in the mirror, I realized they made kind of a shape at one point near the top, like a circle that was pointy at the bottom. I blamed my cat for the artwork on my body, seeing as how I lived alone at the time, but even then I knew something else had done it. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew that this was just the beginning. For the next month or so, I had similar dreams, but no new scratches or anything noticeable. Then I went home for Christmas, and it was mostly nice. But one night, a few days before Christmas, I woke up to the sound of my little brother screaming. As my eyes opened, I was filled with concern, but also something else, like whatever was happening. Like there was no reason to try and stop it. Like I should just close my eyes and go back to sleep. But when he started screaming louder, the spell on me was broken. I jumped out of my bed and ran down the hall to my brother's room. Right before I opened the door, he stopped and I heard a voice. No, not a voice, a sound. I couldn't make out any words, but I understood it perfectly. It was a warning of what was coming next, as if this was a small sample. As I slowly opened my brother's door, 3 things struck me. My brother's bed was empty, the window was open, and there was a piece of cloth on the floor in front of me, like a piece of a black suit. Right then, my mother woke up and approached me. I asked where my brother was and she said that he was staying the night at a friend's. I started getting concerned. I posted on several forums and got the usual "you're overreacting" replies. So I tried to contact the original poster, the man who made up Slender Man. But it was to no avail, as he did not reply to any of my emails. I hit a dead end. One night, sometime later in mid-January, I was up late because I couldn't bring myself to sleep. All of a sudden I heard a noise on my front door, like a stick being blown against the wind. I stepped into my living room and was frozen. I really couldn't move. And then I saw him for the very first time. He slowly stepped out of my kitchen. He wore a black suit and a tie. He was so skinny, I swear he was just bone under there. His face, there was nothing. Like nothing. But it somehow moved like 1,000 bees. 1,000 very tired, very organized bees. And the something, also like bees. But more intense and focused. Not as random. He spoke not a word, and silently, slowly, calmly, controllingly, walked towards me. My spell was broken from fear and I burst out of my front door. I ran for what seemed like hours, always waiting that he was right behind me. I finally reached friends and called 911, telling them my house had been broken into. When they arrived, they said there was no sign of forced entry, that the door had been locked behind me and my keys were inside. My friend said I could stay at his place, and I did for a few weeks. Finally, he was able to get the story out of me. He said that I should get a psyche evaluation, which I calmly rejected. But after some coaxing, I finally agreed and went to the hospital. The doctor's result came in as paranoid schizophrenia. That's what they told me. I was given a set of medication, moved out of that place and found a new one. It's been a month and a half and nothing's happened. But at night, just before I turn off my light to sleep, I feel him again. And in the morning, that split second after you wake up, before you open your eyes, I know he's there. I wonder if he'll ever go away. And this was written by In Fear and uploaded on May 24th, 2011. Okay, that's interesting. Because that means this came shortly after the original Slender Man sort of myth, you know? So, first of all, I will start by judging this story. Finally, this actually scared me. I felt goosebumps. I know I wasn't like horrified, but I felt goosebumps. Because it's descriptive, but leaves enough to the imagination. It only really describes how the character is feeling, but it doesn't overly describes it. It's not overly verbose, you know? So definitely good. A lot better than the Jeff the Killer story even from last episode. This is actually scary. Maybe scarier because it's short, I will say. Someone here commenting it's all over the place. I don't think so. I don't think it's all over the place. He's consistent with the way he talks as well. Always mentions a sort of spell. But he obviously doesn't mean an actual spell. He just talks about sort of being entranced, sort of as if, something is almost controlling him not to run away or not to look away. Like when you stare at something and you can't get your eyes off of that thing. That's what it feels like. I will say, him waking up with scratches all over his chest kinda took me out of it. Because I think, I thought it was going with the classic, oh, I have the dream and now I wake up all hurt and stuff, that means I'm gonna die. I don't know, it just felt like a sort of cliche. I don't like that he got hurt in the dream, I'll be honest. Maybe it's just me. I would have preferred if he, just had this terrible dream and was paranoid after that. But the way the story finishes, he doesn't die in the story. It implies he might die soon-ish, but also it might take a long time. This also makes sense with what we've been described, before, with the original Slenderman Creepypasta, that he possibly toys with his prey. He mostly attacks children. In this case, he's attacking an adult, but he also did attack a child, right? Potentially. It leaves some mystery, because, for example, I was a woman, I don't know, the aunt or whatever, but the lady was saying that his little... Oh, his mother probably, I don't know, I haven't followed... I'm sick, guys. I'm not... I'm not at my top shape. But a character before was saying that his little brother or cousin or whatever wasn't even in the room. He was somewhere else. He was sleeping at a friend's house. But he was still, hearing the screams. So, to me, I wonder if it has a layer, maybe, of the Slenderman manipulating people he doesn't attack, He attacked the child, possibly kidnapped him, but then also manipulates people around the child to believe, the child is just somewhere else, Oh, tonight the child is sleeping at that person's house. Tomorrow, Slenderman might manipulate you to think, oh, I never had a child. I wonder if that could be. It's clearly, the Slenderman is clearly not manipulating the protagonist, but that's because he wants to attack the protagonist. Or maybe he was only manipulating the protagonist all along. Maybe the child was never in the house, It wasn't just kidnapped now, it just wasn't in the house. And it is like the other lady was saying, the child was sleeping at a friend's house. And the Slender Man imitated the voice, the screaming of the child. I wonder if the Slenderman can do that. Maybe he can just sort of create the sound, because it doesn't seem like the Slenderman himself can say words like that. He can make sounds, but not words. But we do see that, he can get inside your mind. So maybe this whole screaming was all imagined anyway. It wasn't coming from a room. It was inside the protagonist's mind. The Slenderman was putting the sound in his mind. I don't know. The Slenderman is definitely an interesting entity. It's not very clear what the Slenderman does exactly. In the games, I remember, if you looked at the Slenderman, or the Slenderman looked at you too long, everything will go to static. And I always wondered exactly what that meant. I was like, okay, it goes to static. What does this mean? How is the Slenderman killing you? But you can see, now that I've read the actual story, the original Slenderman Creepypasta with the old research stuff, it's clear that everything goes to static because that's the moment you're losing control of yourself. Your whole consciousness is probably destroyed when everything goes to static. The Slenderman looks at you too much, gets you, mind controls you, your consciousness is destroyed. And the Slenderman has taken you, it's kidnapping you, and you will disappear. There's no surviving that, because you'll have no fight inside of you anyway. And by the way, I also wonder if you can even fight the Slenderman. We don't really get to know much about, how dangerous the Slenderman physically is. if it's like very powerful, or I mean, it does say the tentacles can be sharp, so maybe the Slender Man can slice you up. There is a creepypasta that's Slender Man versus Jeff the Killer. I don't know if it's good. It sounds like trash, I'm gonna be honest. So not very interested in reading that, especially because we've done too much Jeff the Killer now, so we'll let Jeff the Killer rest for a bit. But the concept is interesting, and I remember it was a big thing when Slender Man came out. You'd see references in many things. I remember voices started circulating that there was a reference of the Slender Man even in My Little Pony. It's crazy, and everyone was like, no, this is Photoshop, it's not real. But I swear, I was curious and I seen the episode myself, where allegedly the Slender Man appears. The Slender Man is there, the Slender Man is in the actual episode, unless I somehow found some edited version of the whole episode, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it's not, it's not fake. Even My Little Pony did Slender Man. Many things, many franchises, games, many things did Slender Man in general. Now I have to apologize because I forgot to say who the original creator of the Slender Man is. And that's Eric Knudson, also known as Victor Surge apparently. Now I didn't really say that initially because, well, the whole Slender Man thing is written as a sort of report, sort of research about a phenomena. So I wanted to keep this impression that maybe this is real. No, the Slender Man is not real. It's a creepypasta. It's 100% creepypasta. It's been confirmed it is a creepypasta. The thing is, it was invented for an online contest. Basically, this was the Something Awful forum with, I don't know 100% what they do in the Something Awful forum, because I never visited really. But from my understanding, it's a forum for creepy stuff, for scary stuff, which means soon I'll start visiting it a lot. If I'm gonna keep making videos about creepy stories, I'm gonna end up there. I had quite a few times of, creepy stories coming out from Something Awful. I just don't know if they also do awful stuff. I don't know, I don't think so. I hope not. Nah, probably not. So yeah, basically, contest. And you can say, by the way, it's crazy, but you can still find the original post. You can still find everything original, literally go to Something Awful forum. You can literally Google it, and you can find the original thread. Here, literally starts by this guy, Jerry J, what weird name, whatever. Creating paranormal images has been a hobby of mine for quite some time. Occasionally, I stumble upon odd websites showcasing strange photos, and I always wondered if it were possible to get one of my own chops in a book, documentary or website just by casually leaking it out in the web, whether they be supplements to bogus stories or not. So let's make a shitload. Pro tip number 1. Before I export, I like to open my levels panel and slide my blacks and whites inwards to lose true whites and true blacks. Makes it look more legit, no? It basically gives it more of a realistic feeling, I guess. More of a horror feeling. Pro tip number 2. Try exporting your image in a very low JPEG quality at first. See if it works with the image, as well as hide minor flaws. After all, it can add to the effect. Basically, PNG is high quality, JPEG loses a bit of quality, so when you export it in JPEG, it's gonna lose a bit of quality. And, you want these pictures to be taken, to look like they've been taken from poor quality phones and stuff. How, the same way every time you see a picture of the Bigfoot, it's always terrible quality, and it's barely possible to see where it is. So that was the goal. To make pictures that look scary. Again, there's nothing real here. It's all a picture contest. You don't have to post your source images, unless you want to, of course. And so here you get the whole forum with, you know, a lot of pictures. Some pictures are clearly edited, like photoshopped. Some other pictures, you know, maybe photoshopped by adding some sort of very faint figures in the back, like ghosts. Some pictures are like actual picture without much editing, but just taking picture of creepy things in general. And it's a very big thread. It's like, what? Let me see how many pages. It's a crazy amount. 46 pages. That is quite the long thread. And that is where it was born. It was just pictures from this. I mean, I think Eric Knudson is literally a photographer. So I wonder if maybe some of his pictures used a prop. Could be. Or maybe it was just photoshopped. Definitely though, you know, a photographer would have a better idea of how to take cool pictures. Or... oh, actually no, sorry. Misread. My bad. They're taken allegedly by photographers. Like, here I'm seeing a picture that says 1986. Photographer was Mary Thomas, who went missing the same year. So, okay, we don't know if Eric Knudson is also a photographer or is just a very good editor of pictures. I don't know that. But if any of you guys in the comments know anything... oh, sorry for the song. If you know anything in the comments, you guys can tell me. I'm actually very curious to learn even more about the Slender Man. Like I said before at the beginning of the video, it was a huge thing back then in Italy. But we only really known it for the games, really. And I even remember I had some friends that cosplayed as Slender Man. I think one cosplayed as regular Slender Man and another one cosplayed as anti-Slender Man. Which I think I heard there might be a creepypasta of it even. So there's definitely some interesting things, you know, about the Slender Man. There are also some infamous stuff, some things about the Slender Man. I have heard there were killings done to honor Slender Man. Of course, to be honest, we don't know if it's 100% true. That's like, here's the thing. Someone can kill someone and then say, oh, I did it because I'm insane. No, you're not. Not necessarily. That's just, I mean, you're evil because you kill people, but you can't just plead insanity like that. So I wonder if the Slenderman killings have been, you know, have been done regardless of Slenderman. Because the first thing you're gonna think is, oh, well, they had a cult of Slenderman? These guys were crazy. Well, yeah, but that's the first thing you hear. What if they just said that because they were trying to play for insanity? Slenderman killings are something I could talk about eventually in some other video. I don't think I'm gonna talk about it now because I need to research it. And I also don't know how much time they could take in a video. And we are already getting closer to the 1 hour. So no Slenderman killings today, but maybe another day. Maybe I can talk about it another day. I mean, again, let me know in the comments if you guys wanna hear about that. I'll do my research, and maybe it could be the next video. Who knows? Now, let's go back to Slenderman himself. I always forget, I call it itself as if it's like an entity, but the guy is a man. It's 100%, that is one of the things we know 100%, it's a man apparently. The way is described with hieroglyphics, wood carvings and stuff. Like I said before, makes me think maybe it's a single entity that maybe is immortal. Some entity that lived through many years, you know? I wonder if... Because we've seen these sort of different depictions of the Slender Man, and the depictions seem to look accurate for the time period. You know, it wasn't wearing a black suit with red tie, I don't know, in the medieval times. That's what I'm saying. They seem accurate for the time, which to me suggests that the Slender Man evolves. So there's two possibilities. Sorry. Either the Slender Man is a single entity that is immortal and evolves over time, changes, grows and stuff, or it's sort of a reincarnating hereditary entity, where it keeps the same broad qualities throughout iterations, and basically just sort of moves from an individual to another. Maybe if someone dies in a specific way, they can become a Slender Man. So this would mean that there have been different, multiple Slender Men in history. Now, I don't really know what's more likely, to be honest. It does say Slenderman covers a big area, but it is mostly in Europe, I think it said. So chances are it's a single entity, right? Because if it was the kind of things where a specific type of death could create more Slenderman, then we'd have more Slenderman at the same time, and we'd have many more sightings, and most likely across other continents and countries as well, right? Especially if it's some sort of things that you inherit. Maybe only specific ethnicity can be Slenderman, like maybe only white people can become Slenderman, I don't know. It would be kinda dumb. But then again, I don't make the rules. Okay, this is a creepypasta, okay, this is all fake, of course. But let's just pretend for a moment that this is all real. If this was real, well, I didn't create the Slenderman. The Slenderman could be very well like a force of nature. Do you ever wonder why squirrels are red or grey? I don't know, they're different species. There might be a reason, but at the end of the day, they're different species, Why do lions walk on 4 feet, 4 legs, and not on 2 legs? Why? I don't know, it's just how nature evolved. Some things you just can't explain. So if Slenderman can only be ethnically white, that would be funny, but who am I to judge nature? Sometimes nature just makes it like that, I guess. But no, it's ridiculous. I think what I like to believe more, it's a Slenderman, it's a single entity, and it's always been the same Slender Man throughout, the beginning of the, not even humanity, beginning of the world, I wonder. He always leaves a black cloth, so we do know he always wears black, basically. I just remembered, even Adventure Time kinda referenced the Slender Man, because there was an episode where, I don't know if you guys watched Adventure Time, very great show, I recommend it. But there was an episode where Finn goes to the Nightosphere, and there finds, looks for Hanson Abadir, who's the basically king of the Nightosphere, and finds out that it was actually Marceline wearing an amulet that curses her to be like her father, to be Hanson Abadir, while he just eats a sandwich or something. And so Finn takes the amulet to save Marceline, but ends up wearing it himself. And he turns basically into Slender Man. He has like a huge white head and multiple black tentacles. So he's basically become Slender Man. So that goes back to what I was saying before. Many things, many medias referenced Slender Man. It's definitely something very famous. I think they even got rights to do movies, which I don't know if they ever did. I wouldn't trust them to make good movies. There were games, not great, not particularly famous. Definitely though, yeah. I think it's a single entity. Now, what kind of entity it is, that's interesting. I don't know for sure. It could be its own category. Could be some sort of elder god of sorts. Sort of like Tulu, right? So Slenderman could be something like that. Or maybe, it's always depicted as being skeletal in appearance. Clearly, he has a particular face, like it lacks facial features. Well, sort of has some sort of facial features, but they're covered in this white cloth. But the white cloth doesn't mean too much, because we know he has tendrils. He has some sort of dark mist, dark substance coming off of him. So clearly he can change shape to some degree. So even wearing this sort of dark cloth under his face, his real face could be literally anything. Could literally be black goo inside of him. In the woodcut, he is represented as basically almost a skeleton. His head is a bit weird. The head in the woodcut doesn't really look like a skeleton, but the rest of the body, yeah, it does. And so I like to imagine Slender Man as being some sort of revenant. Someone who died very angry, maybe very unfairly, and basically came back to life out of pure rage and a desire for vengeance. And revenants will basically look for vengeance no matter what. So then it could be a revenant gone wrong, like a revenant had wanted revenge, but its victim died as a happy man of natural causes before the revenant could ever get the vengeance. But then you gotta wonder, wouldn't the revenant get revenge on that person's bloodline? Now Slenderman seems to target anyone, mostly children, but anyone really. People are not necessarily related. It doesn't end families like that. Or even when he does, it probably does, but it doesn't stop at a single family. Maybe some sort of revenant furious against humanity? Or maybe furious against children for some sort of injustice he faced. I don't know. I feel like he could be a revenant, but at the same time, I would like him to be, because I think revenants are cool. But we don't have enough sort of proof. You know, it doesn't fit the description well enough, I think. So I'm more inclined to say it's just some sort of ancient entity, like some sort of Cthulhu or something. Not to the same power level, but still incredibly powerful. It seems, again, it can cut you. He did leave scratches on the man, that story that we just read. But also in historical reports they do say, yes, tendrils are sharp as swords. I think it can teleport, because it seems it can just get into the houses without even needing to open windows and stuff. Maybe it can't exactly teleport like, maybe it's more like extreme speed. It could be extremely speedy. With tendrils that change shape, he can 100% pick any lock anyway. In that story we read, in the suit story, the guy reports the break-in. He saw the Slender Man in his house, and nobody believes him because there's no traces of break-in. But here's the thing, when he comes back, he's locked outside the house. That's, you know, to me that sort of suggests that the Slenderman still does use doors and stuff. So maybe it's just extremely fast. Or maybe the Slenderman is just fucking with him. Adds to the trauma, you know? Oh, I can't even get back into my house. I think regardless of that, the biggest sort of attribute of the Slenderman is that it can control your mind. It creates illusions, gets into your head. We can see that even from the dreams. It gets inside your head from the dreams as well. While you're sleeping, he's there. It's inside of your head. He manipulates people to follow him, whether by using tricks, coercion, or maybe literally mind control. It does seem like the more time he spends targeting you, the easier it will be to mind control you and kidnap you, basically. Now, for what the Slender Man does when he kidnaps you, I have absolutely no idea. I don't know. The reason for kidnapping could be sadistic, you know? maybe he just takes joy in inflicting pain. He takes more joy from the fear itself, but then also inflicts pain because he also takes joy from that. And so then probably kills you, right? Probably gonna make you disappear forever, kills you. Leaves no traces, which again kind of supports my super speed theory, maybe, I don't know. But there's also a possibility it just sort of takes you to some alternate dimension. I think this is one of those things that is best left unanswered, because it adds to the mystery. Where instead if it gets answered, kinda ruins the mystery, it's not as scary anymore. The dimension thing will be similar to SCP, well, the old guy, the tar, black tar-like guy that melts everything. I don't remember his number. It's a very famous SCP, which I might read SCP sometimes. So similar to that, and that is scary, but not too much. I don't know. His dimension is scary, to be fair, but Slenderman is more mysterious. And I mean, I don't have much else to say, if I have to be honest. Because the thing about the Slenderman is that it's purposefully left unclear, so you can theorize about it. See, I had fun theorizing about it, and now you can also have fun theorizing about it. You know, why not? Make your own theories, have your own fun as well. Now, as my last bit of this podcast, if I have to rate the Slender Man, I could maybe go for 8 out of 10, you know? It's very iconic as a creepypasta, as a concept, it's very iconic. We all know Slender Man, most of us do. It's scarier than other creepypastas as well. I 100% find it scarier than Jeff the Killer. Even the rewritten version, everyone treated him like shit. So when he kills people, you just feel like he took revenge. I don't know, you don't feel scared because you don't care about the people he kills. Slenderman is a bit different because we approach this from basically from the point of view of a cryptid. So we are scared because we don't know if this thing is out there, right? If I discovered all of this ages ago, 2009, right? When I didn't have the same access to the internet and someone just told me about the Slender Man, I would have shit myself. I mean, I kinda discovered it back then as a kid, but I discovered him as a game character, you know? But if I discovered him, again, like this, with this story, that looks fairly, you know, realistic, this report, I might have believed it was real, you know? It's a cryptid. It is actually literally a cryptid. It could literally be like Bigfoot, except Bigfoot is not as bloodthirsty as Slender Man, you know, it's not as much of a dick. So, it is scarier than Jeff the Killer, 100%. And like I said, it's iconic, the design is interesting. I think it's more scary when it's left simple, just representing him maybe with 4 tendrils coming out of his back. His skeletal sort of appearance, very slender, the white face without any features, the suit and tie. Keep it simple. If you add all darkness, you know, coming out of him and open mouth and 10,000 tendrils, that's not as scary anymore. I'm sorry, I like to keep it simple with the Slender Man. And like I was saying, it would be scarier if we didn't know it was actually just made up. But we 100% know it's made up, because it comes from a picture contest. But definitely very cool. I enjoyed it. I think it made a much better episode, honestly. And tell you what, I enjoyed it so much, I'm already feeling better.